Usually on your 100th birthday, you're lucky if you get a casual letter from the king and the ability to stand up without your knees sliding off and falling into your socks. But MG is 100 this year and it's decided to make itself a present. And it's this, the Cyber GTS Concept, which kind of beats a pair of socks. Now that, to me, looks like a Cyberster Coupe. They might be calling it the Cyber GTS, but this is basically the Cayman to the Cyberster's Boxster. Apparently this will be a rear-wheel drive car, but if it has the same bits as a Cyberster, that means you could have something that's 300 brake horsepower and just rear-wheel drive, or indeed all-wheel drive and 536 brake horsepower, which is spicy enough. There's only one problem with this car though, it's not real. Yet.
But there's more to this one than just plopping a roof onto a Cyberster platform and adding some shiny bits, because Chinese-owned MG is pushing the history angle pretty hard, and says that the GTS concept is inspired by the MG GTS Sebring, a prototype MGC racer developed for the famous Sebring 12-hour race. There were ever only 6, but they were essentially stripped-down production cars with lots of lightweight aluminium panels. They were a bit meh when it came to the race at Sebring, 10th out of 22 in fact, driven by Andrew Hedges and some bloke called Paddy Hopkirk, but they looked super tough. But how does this very real looking concept car hark back to the Sebring? To find out, I wrote in Josef Kabat, Vice President of Design for the Chinese company SAIC, who owns MG, to tell us all about it.
Josef, how you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Talk to me about the Cyber GTS concept, because obviously it's really easy, isn't it? You just get a roof and plonk it on top of a...
In some cases, yes, and I have to say even in this case it was very good because the base was already very attractive, very good in proportions. But of course by adding the roof, it's always kind of like, it can go even wrong, you know, the proportions need to fit. What is important here to say that the car has actually very nice base. And as I already said, the beginning, the Roadster had a very good proportion to give the car very unusual look. You know, we have very strong bridge over the back wheel, which is pushing strongly the whole character, and I think it's giving nice, strong appeal.
So basically, it's Roadster up until where? Here or here?
We can still recognize the Roadster actually pretty far to the top. Actually, we are somewhere in the area of the shoulder where we actually added on some different proportion. What is great about that this Roadster has a little bit, let's say, proportion which allowed us to be, by opening more space in the back, to have still very quick shape to the back. And you know, when you look the car, you see how it's perfectly sitting on the real like the other real wheels.
Because it looks very rear-wheel drive, but I'm assuming that doing this gives you a bit more space in the back. So is this going to be a 2+2? Or is it?
It does. I mean, it does definitely give us space. If this will be 2+2 or if it will be only space, it still can stay open. Important is MG is more about bringing the emotion in practical way, you know, in some way that you can enjoy the speed, but as well enjoy the life, enjoy the variability, and all this is about. We've been looking a lot for the space to not just describe a sporty looking car, but really something what can make fun for every kind of situation. By bringing the car after the Roadster, a little bit like by MGB, you know, first was the open version, and then we came with the Coupe. Here is a little bit the link in the past similar, but I think the most characteristic bridge is the sympathy and the way how you can use it. It's simply fun to drive it, and it's fun to look at it.
It's interesting that I always wonder about designers. Is it better to have influence from the past or be completely free and have a clean sheet design? Because this looks like it should have always been like this.
It's always depend on the brand. MG has very strong past. You know, this 100 years of history, what we are now celebrating this year, it's something what is worth to have it linked in the new products. I have to say that this car is doing this incredibly good. We have already the Cyberster, which is bringing very sympathetic product in the MG brand, MG, let's say, range. And by bringing this car with this kind of shape, it only shows how strong the brand was and it will be in the future. It's more enjoying for you and for around people instead of pushing and being, let's say, aggressive. Yeah. I think this all come already through the shape. You know, the shape is, I will say, a little bit more softer than edgy, and it has nice, let's say, balanced attitude with lots of soft surfaces, but as well a few edges, you know. And
yeah,
of course,
it gives it a bit of definition.
This definition helps as well to make it a little bit more powerful the whole way how it's sitting in the back, but the combination of it, it makes, I think, very good spirit of the past,
yeah,
but as well of the future.
What's the point in doing a concept car? Because as a designer, it feels like it's a really good, fun project, but why do a concept? This one feels real to me, by the way, but in terms of design, why do concept cars?
You know, the job of designer is not just to make pretty cars. I mean, this is one thing. The real story is it's life full of competition, you know, and it's a question of surviving or being successful, live for longer. And as well, this all is about bringing products which make people satisfied, which make people happy, which make them feel better in the life, you know. Yeah. And of course, the concept car is something what sometimes take the pressure of being just very, very correct, to open a little bit the door to test something where you don't need to.
It doesn't need to be real.
You don't need to
effective.
Be finished, like you don't need to really go for the production, but you can test. And even here in this case, we are kind of looking how the customer will feel, how the people will like. And yeah, the question from my side will be too, if you like it, you know, if this is direction that you can imagine, because we could imagine something like this. Yeah.
Do you think they'll make it?
Yeah, let's see.
I'll take that as a yes then.
Now, at this point, I was going to take a little look inside, but apparently this car hasn't got an interior, at least not the one that it'll come with. But the GTS does retain the Cyberster's butterfly doors, so they'll come straight up. They don't hit you in the face because they do have a sensor. And if you look at the proportions of the car, where you would have that roof stowing back into the rear, you don't have that anymore, so there's a lot of space that you can use for other stuff. So this car should be a 2+2 with a fairly decent boot. But I would expect the dash and the cabin to be as nicely made and sorted as the Cyberster that I drove earlier this year. I always really like it when manufacturers come up with daft concept cars, but I actually think the Cyber GTS points the way to a real car. Now, I've driven a Cyberster, and I actually don't think that sounds like a bad thing. Though there is one problem. The Cyberster, being a convertible, was quite a languid, swoopy car to drive. And if you buy a coupe, you might be expecting a little bit more precision. So let's hope that if MG does decide to make this car, that they give it a little bit more, I don't know, driver appeal. A bit more like the MG Sebring, for instance. We shall see, though MG has said to me that if there's enough enthusiasm for the GTS concept, it might well make it to production. So, what do you reckon? Could you see yourself driving one of these? Let me know in the comments.